Imagine a world without your smartphone, your laptop, or even the internet. Hard to picture, right? Well, all of that digital magic, everything that powers our modern lives, can be traced back to a single revolutionary invention that happened on December 23rd, 1947. This is the story of the transistor, the tiny switch that changed everything. Before 1947, the world of electronics was big, hot, and clunky. The king of the castle was the vacuum tube. Picture a fragile, incandescent light bulb. That's essentially what a vacuum tube was. These tubes controlled the flow of electricity, acting as amplifiers and switches. They were the heart of early radios, telephones, and the very first computers, like the ENIAC. ENIAC was a monster, filling an entire room weighing 30 tons and containing nearly 18,000 of these vacuum tubes. It was a power-hungry beast, consuming enough electricity to light up a small town. And those tubes? They were constantly burning out, making the machine unreliable and a nightmare to maintain. It was clear that for electronics to get smaller, faster, and more reliable, the vacuum tube had to go. Enter Bell Laboratories in Murray Hill, New Jersey. In the aftermath of World War II, Bell Labs was a hub of scientific innovation, a place where brilliant minds were given the freedom to explore fundamental questions. The company's goal was to improve the telephone network, which relied heavily on those finicky vacuum tubes for amplification. They needed a better, more solid solution. This quest led them to the mysterious world of semiconductors. Now, you probably know about conductors like copper wire, which let electricity flow easily, and insulators like rubber, which stop it completely. Semiconductors are the fascinating middle ground. Materials like silicon and germanium can be coaxed into behaving like either a conductor or an insulator, depending on the conditions. This unique property was the key. A team was assembled under the leadership of the brilliant but difficult physicist, William Shockley. He recruited two exceptional scientists to work on the problem: John Bardeen, quiet, unassuming theoretical physicist with a mind like a steel trap, and Walter Brattain, a hands-on experimentalist who loved getting his hands dirty and making things work. The team's initial goal was to build what's known as a field effect transistor. Shockley had the theory: a semiconductor's ability to conduct electricity could be controlled by an external electric field. If you could control the flow, you could amplify a signal. It was a great idea, but in practice it just wouldn't work. Every time they tried, the external field seemed to be blocked by something mysterious on the surface of the semiconductor. They were stumped. For months, they hit a wall. Frustration mounted, and the relationship between the three men, especially between the methodical Bardeen and Brattain and the ambitious Shockley, became strained. Bardeen and Brattain decided to take a different approach. They started focusing on that mysterious surface barrier that was blocking their experiments. They thought, what if we work with this barrier instead of against it? This led them to a series of experiments that would change the course of history. They began experimenting with putting contacts, or electrical points, directly onto a slice of germanium. This brings us to the miracle month of November and December 1947. Their experiments became increasingly intricate. They tried immersing the germanium in various liquids, electrolytes, to see how it affected the surface properties. Then came the breakthrough. Brattain, in a moment of either brilliant insight or sheer luck, took a piece of gold foil, carefully sliced a razor-thin gap in it, and pressed this onto the germanium crystal. The two sides of the gold foil acted as two very, very close electrical contacts. The idea was to inject a current through one contact, the emitter, and see if it would influence the current flowing through the other contact, the collector. On December 16, 1947, they were ready for the big test. They connected their strange-looking contraption to a power source and an oscilloscope. The device itself was a jumble of wires, a plastic wedge, and that crucial slice of germanium with the gold foil pressed on top, held in place by a paperclip. It looked like something you'd find in a high school science fair, not the birthplace of a technological revolution. Brattain applied a small signal to the emitter. They watched the oscilloscope, their hearts pounding, and then they saw it. The output signal at the collector was larger than the input signal. It had been amplified. It worked. It had created the world's first solid-state amplifier. They called their device the point contact transistor. They spent the next week confirming their results, making sure it wasn't a fluke. On December 23rd, they demonstrated their invention to the executives at Bell Labs. They hooked it up to an audio circuit. A voice spoke into a microphone, and out of the speaker came a louder, clearer version of that voice, amplified not by a glowing hot vacuum tube, but by their little solid-state device. The room fell silent. Everyone understood in that moment that they were witnessing the beginning of a new era. The digital age had just been born. Interestingly, William Shockley was not present for that initial breakthrough. He was furious that Bardeen and Brattain had succeeded without him, following a path he had dismissed. But his competitive nature took over. In a frenzy of creative energy over the next few weeks, he secretly designed a much more robust and manufacturable version of the transistor, the junction transistor, which would become the basis for most transistors used today. While Bardeen and Brattain invented the first working device, Shockley's design is what truly made it practical for mass production. The world, however, didn't immediately grasp the significance of what had happened. Bell Labs announced the invention on June 30th, 1948, and the news was met with a collective shrug. It was buried deep inside the New York Times in a small column alongside a radio quiz show report. No one could have predicted its impact. The first commercial application wasn't a computer, but a hearing aid. Then in 1954 came the first transistor radio, the Regency TR-1. For the first time, you could carry your music with you. It was a cultural phenomenon, the iPod of its day, and it was all thanks to the transistor. But this was just the beginning. The real revolution happened when engineers figured out how to create multiple transistors, along with other components like resistors and capacitors, on a single piece of silicon. This was the birth of the integrated circuit, or the microchip. In the late 1950s, instead of wiring individual transistors together, you could now have thousands, then millions, and now billions of them packed into a space smaller than your fingernail. This miniaturization is what truly unleashed the power of the transistor. It's governed by what we call Moore's law. The observation that the number of transistors on a microchip doubles roughly every 2 years. This exponential growth has fueled the digital revolution for over half a century. It's why your smartphone today has millions of times more computing power than the massive room-sized ENIAC computer. Every single pixel on your screen, every calculation your computer makes, every bit of data that flies across the internet is controlled by these tiny microscopic switches, flicking on and off billions of times per second. In 1956, John Bardeen, Walter Brattain, and William Shockley were jointly awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for their invention. Their creation not only replaced the vacuum tube, but laid the very foundation for the information age. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the biggest revolutions start with the smallest of things, a sliver of germanium, a piece of gold foil, and a paperclip wielded by curious minds who refuse to give up. The world we live in today is a testament to that single, pivotal moment at Bell Labs. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the technologies that shape our world. See you in the next one.